Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us and thank you for your patience. Welcome to the first season of the Festival of Encounters. Yes! Little housekeeping. So the toilets are to the right or to your left. And we've got a bar if you want to get drinks. We've got some amazing talks throughout the festival. But to kick us off, we have the amazing Elijah and the amazing Charlie Dark here to talk to us about back in the day. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, they're gonna be here till about 3:30. We'll have book signings in the back. We've got some merch, some really cool tote bags. If you like this T-shirt, ask about it. Fire exit is that way, and so if there is a fire, which there won't be unless it gets too hot. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. But yeah, please enjoy. Yeah, take notes if you like. But I'm gonna leave them to do their talking now. Bye.
Much love. Thank you for the invite as well.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Appreciate it. You know what happens sometimes is like these things force like friends to talk with each other. You know what I'm saying? Like we like cross paths a lot, but then don't talk directly. So
exactly.
You see like a half catch up and half talk at the same time. If that's cool. Okay. So we just do like intros for each other, and then or then like, if you introduce yourself,
okay, cool.
What's going on and what's happening, and then I'll do the same. Yeah.
My name is Charlie Dark, MBE, and I am now most famously known as being the founder of a running organisation called the Run Dem Crew. I'm a DJ, cultural curator, and a brand consultant, basically. That's how I condense what I do.
Sweet. My name is Elijah. Today I'm a DJ and writer. Released a book, which is at the back, with the smiley face on it. I showed it to my barber and he said, "Is this a children's book?" Because the way it looked. So I was like, "Oh, damn, I've got to write some serious books." So I'm going to write. I'm writing some more serious books at the moment, and I've DJ'd for I think 20 years. So let's start about what old school is in our context.
Okay.
So you said the peak of DJ being cool is the 80s.
Late 80s, early 90s. I'm showing my age. I started DJing in 1983.
Oh, just happens to be when you started DJing.
That's when I started DJing.
Okay, so that was the peak cool.
No, that was the beginning. I think it got cooler around 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 4.
Okay, what was the first music that you were playing?
The first music I was playing was kind of hip-hop, early hip-hop and soul music.
And then where were you playing out?
I was playing in local places in South London, and then I got a gig at the WAG Club, kind of early 90s, and then kind of moved to West End. And then it was basically record deal came, and then it was international from early.
Okay.
So I kind of came out of the bedroom and, got the big break.
Did you have like DJ dreams? We were just talking about this just now.
Yeah, definitely. The first time that I saw someone publicly DJing, I was like, I want to do that, because the way that it had people's attention and the control of the crowd was really exciting to me. Mm-hmm. And also this kind of mythical energy around the name. That was really, really, really like, I want to do that.
Like a kind of musical shaman kind of thing. Like.
Yeah.
Who do you remember, like, who that group of first generation DJs that you were seeing?
So first generation DJs would have been seen with people like Cupmaster Swift, okay. DJ Pogo, DJ Business, kind of early kind of hip hop DJs out of London, and kind of seeing people obviously DJing on sound systems at house parties and carnivals. So people like Mystery, Mystery is like South London DJ. Used to play at a place called Kings on the Rye, which was like a legendary spot. He was really cool. Shaka.
Yeah, of course.
The same, Saxon. Rap Attack. I was a big Rap Attack fan because I liked the way they would play reggae and then play soul. And also the idea of going to hear people who could present records in a way that you hadn't heard before. So the first time you hear someone DJ, you're like, wow, that's really cool. But the first time you hear someone DJ and mix, you're like, wow, that's really cool. Then you see someone scratching. Then you see someone like DJ Ron play like a reggae tune, mix it in with Planet Rock, and kind of that people at the early mashup culture. It was super exciting.
And then did kind of radio kind of mesh onto that as well, like pirate radio and all that kind of stuff?
Well, radio came first.
Yeah.
I'm the child of an immigrant, and so I wasn't raving anywhere to my parents' knowledge. So, so pirate radio was the thing that actually opened up the world. And at that time, you could turn on pirate radio and listen to the all-dayers, where they're broadcasting live from the jam. So you could be at home, but still feel like you were there, because the way it was recorded and the mic control and the atmosphere, it made you feel like you were there.
100%. Well, I was born in 1987,
Okay.
and that's my first introduction to DJing as well.
Yep.
But because I think at the beginning, because you can't see what's going on, you have no kind of concept, unless you're like, maybe you got decks in your house or something like that, or you had like a cousin or uncle or friend or something like that, where you could see what people are doing.
Yep.
At the beginning, it was just a mystery. Like I feel like I learned to mix through listening rather than seeing, and like having a kind of like technical understanding of what people are doing.
Yep.
I thought it was cool, but also like out of reach for a long time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I thought it was something that I just couldn't do. I thought those people had some sort of mad like brain power that I couldn't reach, especially when I guess I was really young.
Well, I think cost.
That's that too. Yeah.
You know, decks were expensive.
Yeah.
I used to have a very big afro, and I got paid £500 by Colgate to shave a strip through my afro for a commercial, and that's how I bought my first pair of decks.
Wow. Okay, I got a funny story about first pair of decks as well. I went to this is not investment advice, but I went to a casino with my friend for his birthday when we were 19.
Yep.
So I'd been DJing for a while already.
Yep.
And then I won £1,000.
No way.
And then that's what I bought my first pair of decks with.
Wow.
This is 2007. I've got the picture of like, you know, like rappers will say, I made a bag. Like they have the £1,000 in a bag, £50 notes. I was so shook. I was like, my hand was shaking. I just got the train home, tried to like avoid eye contact with every human. Then the next day went to a DJ store, and they were like, oh, this is amazing, but we're gonna have to like count every single note through. And I bought CDJs with that. That wasn't my first pair of vinyl decks, but that was my first like CDJs. CDJ, I think it was like 400 or something.
Were your parents encouraging of the early DJ?
At the beginning, like my mum is very, you should try. So I did a lot of like kind of different creative disciplines over time.
Yeah.
And it was just started to accumulate. And I guess usually what happens is one kind of starts to dominate.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So I was doing like martial arts, I was skating, I was raving, doing all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And then there was like a point where my mum really just asked, like, what do you actually want to do? And I said, I want to be like a DJ and a journalist, which sounded like it made sense at the time because I was online, like blogging, and wanted to participate in like the grime scene.
Yeah.
But at the time, those two things were like wide apart. If you were like a writer, you would be like a journalist over here, like, and then the people that were doing it were over here.
Yeah.
Whereas now, the two things intersect.
Yeah.
A lot more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then let's talk about the house parties early, because people maybe today have like a sense of what youth means as something completely different. And what I mean by this, like house parties used to have like kids in them. And like how different that energy is when you have actual children and adults and elders all
dancing together.
Yeah. Like what? Just give me like I guess a picture of what that looks like.
Right. So, early '80s South London house party. It's going to be a room where the children are sent to, where the coats are kept on the bed, right? And you spend a large amount of time playing in that room, hearing what was coming from downstairs, but daring not to open the door if you'd been told to go in there. The DJ booth might be in the kitchen. You know, kitchen countertops make a good space for decks to be on. Generally, you're not getting noise complaints because that, I always say to people is like, there's no limiters, and the council haven't really clocked onto this idea of let me stand outside your party with my kind of microphone measuring the sound. So there might be a few complaints, but generally everyone in the street is going to come.
Yep.
A lot of double parking of cars. Outside, like a lot of double parking. And so you'd have these moments in the dance where the DJ or MC would ask someone to come and move their car. That was always kind of quite a highlight. I did play at a house party in Lewisham once where the door got rushed and these kids came in and they took the decks, and I was like, can I at least have my record? And they were like, no. And they just took basically the decks and the mixer and everything that we'd hired and come and rushed out. Or what would happen is people would come with their own DJ.
Yes.
And say, my DJ's better than you. And then basically force you off the decks. And there's 20 of them, and then they put their DJ on. Particularly at the time when, like, jungle was starting to permeate.
Yeah.
You'd kind of have people being like, we want to hear this new music now.
Okay.
And we're bringing our DJ and we're putting him on. But I think, you know, what I remember from those days is people were a lot more reactive to music.
Okay.
As in, you know, it wasn't just about reacting to the drop of a record. It could literally be like the intro and people would go wild. And then also this idea of there are certain records that you hear in the black community that are unexpected. Barbra Streisand, Chris Christopherson, Guilty.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big tune. Like, you put that tune on.
I got nothing to be guilty of.
Yeah, there's like people are firing shots in the air. It's like a big tune. So it is. I've got very, very fond memories of that period of time, because also what people have to remember is, you know, London had a pretty racist door policy in the West End. So a lot of clubs would have a quota of the amount of people of colour who would be allowed in. And so a lot of times you'd go uptown to try and get into a club and get turned away.
Yep.
So then eventually, you just keep it local.
Do you remember any, there's a little tangent, do you remember any creative excuses of why you've been denied entry to a club? Because my favourite one was towards the end of that kind of behaviour. It was 2004 at this club called Cameos, and they said, no stripes. Like, this was at the time when people wear like these stripy jumpers and t-shirts. They were like, no stripes. Yeah. And then in that maybe the same kind of period of time, a couple months, it was no kickers. It was like, we're just making up stuff now. Like, there was even like a...
no caps, no hats, no caps, no baseball caps.
No blue
one
jeans.
time it was like, I don't like your aftershave. Like, what are you talking about, you know? So, I mean, it was par for the course. But I think what it meant is that you treasured the music more, because you knew how you had to struggle. Because even I always say to people, it's kind of, now you tell people that you DJ or you're involved in clubland, and they just see it as like a normal job.
Yeah.
Whereas then it was like going to a club was seen as like, you're quite a radical person to be going to a club. Only bad things happen in the club.
Yeah.
You know, so you had to fight to be part of anything.
And then, see, back to the house party. When, I guess, like now, even like knowing your neighbours and like that being, like, people would ask their neighbours and say, oh, come in, or bring food, or whatever it's going to be. Like today, we just couldn't have that, because like more people are renting, and it's like kind of this.
I think people are a bit more acceptable of the fact of other people making noise then. Yes. You allowed the kind of like the noise pass. Yeah. So
even into that way into the night, which is like
I mean, people would start the party would start at 1.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's not kind of like an early thing, but definitely kind of. I regularly remember going to sleep and this parties would be going on to 5, 6, 7 in the morning, and not being like, oh, you're keeping me up. It was just like, that's just part of the thing that the community does.
Do you remember like the sense of it dying down? Like, do you remember like this moment where you're like, okay, there's like less house party to summer for some reason?
I think when basically the clamp down on nightlife started to begin, I think they just kind of did a clean sweep of anything involving nightlife that they could close was seen as a win. Okay. Because when you're chasing after kind of these people who are doing these big massive raves, and you can't really get to the person who's the real brain behind it, you just go after anything. And it was a shame, and it kind of forced people. I think what it did is it started making people believe that they couldn't do something unless it was in a club.
Yes.
You know, so we lost this sense of, I'm going to turn this house into a club, this church hall into the best club on the planet. People stopped doing that, and it became back down to this kind of like, well, we can only have a club event if it's in the actual club.
Yeah.
And that comes with rules and regulations and a new way of doing things. And I think now you kind of can see where people don't want to put on events unless they're going to make money.
Yeah.
They don't want to put on events unless a certain amount of people are guaranteed to come.
True.
And I just think to myself, some of the best parties I've ever been to, there was maybe 50 people at most.
Yes.
30 people.
And I guess they were like extensions of like family groups and stuff. So it'd be like family, then maybe like local, then like church, then people we went to school with, then that this kind of, if something, like the first wave of things I went to, so like 2002, 2003, so I would have been like 14. This is like me making a decision, not being brought somewhere and going with friends. It'd be like, oh, I've heard there's a house party by this person that went to school with and their second cousin's wife's got a thing in this thing. And people just let you in. They wouldn't even, there was no like door policy or something. No. It's like, oh, you're not going to cause trouble. So it's fine. Just come in.
I think
with a plate as well. Like I've been served food by like in the maddest situations, which is like today you was just, if someone came to your door and was like, I heard you've got music and food, let me have some. You'd be like, what? You'd call the police.
Yeah. I have to shout out Rude Boys and I think their site's called Rude Boys and Roll Ups, is it?
Okay, yeah.
Because they did a house party in a flat in an estate in Elephant Castle that was about to be knocked down.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a party. It was like we all came in fancy dress. It was really good. It was kind of a good memory of those days.
And am I right in that you stopped DJing for a while? Yes,
I stopped DJing heavily, probably around 2006, 2007.
For how long?
I came back to it at the beginning of the pandemic, reluctantly.
Okay, all right. What do you think you missed in that time?
I don't think I missed anything.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
100%.
Okay, what did I miss?
Huh?
Okay, what did I miss? Well, I was still raving.
Yeah.
I was still going out. I was still playing very occasionally. I think, you know what? I don't know whether I did miss anything because all of my favourite moments, like I was in Plastic when the dubstep thing started to happen.
Yeah.
I was regularly going to Forward and just being like, this is really incredible. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's a stumped me question. I actually can't think of what did I miss?
Or were there things that you feel like you could have contributed? Like this is how I feel about some music, where I could have contributed to it. Yeah. If I was just more present through that period of time, but I was like just my head was somewhere else. I was doing something else, you know.
I think what I got to the point of frustration.
Okay.
Because what I could see. I did an event for PlayStation, the launch of the PlayStation 2.
Okay.
With Jamie, Skepta, Kalashnikov.
Oh, there's Just Blaze one?
Just Blaze.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, right. So there's myself and Dean Records. We put that idea together.
Yeah.
Right. It was one of the most frustrating experiences that I've ever had in my life.
Okay.
Because I'm like, this is the beginnings of the transatlantic kind of mashup, but we can't get everyone to buy into this idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so to see it years later, where you're like, oh, you're finally ready now to basically do what we were trying to get to do back then, it was frustrating.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I spent a larger time in the kind of retirement period being frustrated that people weren't pushing things to the next level, particularly around grime.
Okay. Sorry.
Because I was teaching... Talk to people. I was teaching poetry and creative writing in a lot of schools, prisons and young offenders institutes around the UK.
Okay.
And I'm meeting all these incredible young poets. A lot of them who'd been introduced to it through grime, listening to grime tapes of the older brothers. Then you start meeting grime MCs who are kind of slightly different, a bit more left field than the mainstream. And you're like, you should do something with the British Library. Mm-hmm. You should write a book. You should do a lecture. You can take this much further than just, spitting on pirate radio.
Yep.
So it was frustrating to me because I was like, unless you do that, we're still going to have this thing where the music's going to be kind of ghettoized in some way or not deemed to be kind of as important as it actually is. Because for me, of all the music that has come out of the UK, the grime period, probably the early grime period, for me is the most exciting.
Really?
Yeah. because it's kind of
because it's so different from the American stuff that was coming out at the time, or just
so different and so unapologetically inner city London, and I love that.
yeah.
I got booked by this kid, and he was like, "Can you engineer? I know you do music. Can you engineer a session for me?" We go to the studio. We book the studio. He turns up. I'm like, "Where's your drum machine?" He's like, "I don't have a drum machine." That was kind of quite wild. Like, how you making this stuff? And he pulls his PlayStation out of his bag, and he's like, "Have you got a TV?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, "Yeah, I made all my music on the PlayStation,
Right.
so just hook it up onto the TV, and then we can transfer." That to me was mind blowing. That was as powerful to me as seeing someone DJ on turntables for the first time,
Okay.
or make a house beat on a 909. I was like, this is really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But other people just couldn't see it. I'm like, you got to understand this. Like, this is futuristic wildness that is going on here. Like, these people are really pushing the boundaries of sonically what's acceptable, you know, to be considered as music.
Yes.
It's exciting, man.
And it, like, I guess we're jumping like loads of like different periods of time. So we're talking about like that PlayStation 2 event was probably like 2005. The end of 2005.
Maybe a bit earlier. Yeah.
No, it's definitely 2005.
Okay.
MySpace.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like MySpace era.
Yeah.
Kind of. Someone will be able to fact check me, but if someone Googles,
Just tell us when the PlayStation 2 came out.
Just Blaze Kalashnikov, JME Skepta. They made a song as well at the time.
Make a song, yeah.
Which sounds insane. That was 20 years ago.
It's great.
And these guys are still about today.
Still
Anyway, I guess you've seen all these different kind of music scenes and sounds and stuff come and go. What does it feel like seeing, I guess, something like birth, like that most people just haven't experienced that, like firsthand, like a scene come into life. Like you see, okay, like you're there in the 80s. You're like, all right, cool. Is this like house, and then it transforms into jungle or something? Like what is going through your head at that time?
Again, it's just like this feeling of excitement because you're surrounded by people who are going against the norm and pushing the boundaries of what's possible and are using the resources of friendship to make things happen. And you've also got the cross-fertilization of scenes. So, you know, so West End's not going to let you into the club. So you're going to get your white aristocratic friend whose dad owns warehouses to give you the keys. And then the reggae dudes are going to bring the sound system in.
Yeah.
And then the soul dudes are kind of, you know, and we're going to get the St. Martin's art students to decorate this place. And then we know these like punk rock collective kind of people called the Mutoid Waste, and they basically make sculptures out of cars, and they're going to make some stuff. And it was kind of like really amazing to be in a space where you're suddenly surrounded by lots of different types of people. So when you're talking about the birth of new things, like particularly with like jungle, I always say to people is kind of, people have to understand is now you can buy a piece of equipment, it comes with a manual.
Yes.
It also will come with online tutorials for you to follow. And if you can't find those, there's this thing called YouTube that you can go to where there's a whole load of people who can afford to get it at the same time as you, who will then do their breakdown. So it's much easier to learn new equipment. Back then, it's kind of, the equipment is really scarce. No one's got a manual. And you're not using the equipment to do what it was meant to do.
Yeah, that's true.
So the SP1200 was not made for people to be chopping up samples and making hip hop on. It's made for you to basically, for a drummer to play along to. So you'd hear these records and be like, I don't know how they did that. Let me go and find out. And then that means you've got to have conversations with people. And some people will tell you truths, but maybe they might tell you two truths and a lie to throw you off the scent. So you're always kind of trying to, you know, find out how things are being done.
And a lot of times, like, people don't even know what they're doing themselves.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to like post-rationalize like how you made something, you're like, I think it was this. I was kind of high, or I was like drinking. Maybe it was this path, and then this engineer did this. I'm not sure what they did, and then I sent it. Or my friend came over, and then they laid some drums, but I don't know where that came from. Or this sample of this like song, can't remember what it is, like Donna Summer maybe. Yeah, I mean, it all gets a bit fuzzy, innit, once you start stripping things back a bit.
I think it basically teaches you to be a king of research.
Yeah.
And it teaches you to really, really listen and to observe very carefully, because anything at that point, kind of anything could be used as information, even kind of to the thing of like, all right, so I know that this certain DJ who DJs on this pirate radio station lives in this area because I see them walking about. Let me just hang out here to see if I can try and find out where the station is.
Yeah.
By following them to the station, or working out how far the station is from where they live by what time they leave their house.
Crazy.
I mean, it's called stalking now, but in those days it was kind of like I loved the music so much that, you know, I kind of want to know as much about it as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I think I've been on both sides of that coin.
Yeah.
Where people are trying to figure out your processes, and some things are just like feel very intuitive, like I'm just doing things for impulsive reasons, and not so thoroughly thought out. And then other times when you become conscious of what you're doing, you're like, okay, these are the things that I want to protect, and then these are the things that I'm cool like
being open source,
being open source about. And I think that's been kind of confusing for people when they're like, they think I'm all open source. I'm like, no, I'm open sourcing the bit I want to open source.
There you go.
And then there is some closed source things happening. But I'm not going to like illuminate that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Mystery's good. I also have to say is kind of like the thing about when you're involved in scenes when they're first birthing, it means you go to every jam.
Yeah, it's true.
Any of the opportunity to hear this music, you will go because it's so scarce.
True. And I guess like framing compared to today, so even compared to 10 years ago, 20 years ago, certainly 30 years ago, the access to music in general was just lower. Like music wasn't playing everywhere. You didn't necessarily always have it in your ears. It wasn't infinite. You had to like buy stuff and kind of accumulate knowledge that way. Whereas today you could literally run music 24 hours a day in your head, in your on Spotify, whether it's going to be on YouTube. Whereas at the time, if you wanted to hear jungle, you had to go outside.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Or if you wanted to hear garage, or the garage that wasn't available on records, you had to go to the club to hear it.
Yeah.
Whereas today, we'll never really have anything like that again. The closest to that is like live music jams or something like that. What people like Steam Down do, like the jazz kind of improvisations and things. That's the only thing that feels like still you have to be in the room for.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's talk about quickly what it's like when it feels like scenes or music or like a kind of dance thing is dying.
Well, I think what happens when you go for that period is you start seeing people in the jam who you're like, I'm not sure why you're here.
Okay.
I think also for a lot of my personal experiences, the violence increases, and so you don't feel safe going to the jams anymore. The spread of music starts to become dictated by the people who are coming to the jam, and so there are less risks being taken. And invariably what happens is when you look in the DJ booth, you don't see the faces from other scenes in there anymore.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
You know, so now...
All right, make that point a bit further, because I think this is important.
I think when you can feel... the feeling you get when the music is kind of... then something interesting is happening is when you look in the DJ box and it might be jungle DJs playing the music, but none of the other people in the DJ box are from the jungle world. They're from other worlds who've come down to be, you know, soak in the atmosphere, be influenced. You go to, you know, Metalheads, David Bowie's in there, Bjork is walking about. You know, they're not making jungle, but they're in the dance, soaking up the vibes. Yep. Then eventually you look in the box and it's just pure Mandem who all make jungle.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of becomes slightly less interesting because, again, the influences start to kind of close in. So now we're all using the same drum break, and we're all making tunes at the same tempo, and we're all mixing down our tunes the same way, and we're all now beginning to sound the same. And I don't like when the sense of kind of adventure and anything can happen starts to disappear. That's why I fell out of love with dubstep.
Yes.
Because it got to a point where I was just like, okay, I can predict now what's going to happen. Yeah. You can predict what's going to get the rewind. You can predict what's going to get the big reaction. You can predict rhythmically what's going to happen, and that's not what drew me towards it in the first place.
Yeah, like the beginning of every scene, music scene or creative scene, it feels like infinite possibility, and then
Yeah.
it's like the gradual narrowing of those
Yeah.
things, right?
Yeah.
So even like the dances can kind of get formulaic.
Yeah.
You know, like at the beginning, everyone's like dancing crazy, and
Yeah.
then there's like an established dance for a particular music,
yeah.
and then people can draw it or make memes
Yeah.
of it, and they're like, okay, cool. Now you're even narrowed, not even just sonically, but like the actual movement
Yeah.
of people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And the fashion changes as well.
Yeah.
The fashion becomes less wide,
Yeah.
and then the uniform starts to come on.
Yeah. Just dudes in black t-shirts. It's like,
Is that grime scene? Blues and Guts?
no, it's just, that's like kind of like techno,
Yeah.
me now. But yeah, I think, yeah, that thing, innit?
Yeah.
When it gets to
Yeah.
doom, doom,
Yeah.
doom, doom, doom,
Yeah.
doom.
People start telling you what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, well, that's not what made it exciting in the first place.
Yeah. I think, you see what you said about the manual?
Yeah.
All of these scenes, even the house party, that concept of the idea, or the rave, like those never came with a manual either. So I guess when someone is enforcing what is and what isn't, you're like, well, where did you read what it is and what it isn't? So how do you like establish, I guess like boundaries like of what is and what isn't in a house party or a rave or a sound or a scene?
I think having a manifesto is important.
Yeah.
Having some brand values of what your thing actually means. Again, I think people don't necessarily have brand values now, or they don't know what the brand values of their thing are, or what the manifesto or the rules are.
Yeah.
So they just say yes to anything.
True.
And I don't think you can kind of grow and nurture. Growing and nurturing a scene is really important. And
Do you have that for yourself? Like, do you have like a Charlie Dark manifesto?
yeah, most definitely. Definitely. Like there's an infinite amount of research that goes into anything before I say yes to anything. Because I realise that, saying yes to the wrong thing not only impacts me, but also impacts the people around me and the people I care about. So if I agree to go and DJ for a promoter who I don't necessarily vibe with, that's going to put me in a state of mind that means when I come home from the trip, my family now has to deal with the fact that daddy's come back and he's supposed to have gone off and had this superstar DJ experience, but actually he's got the DJ blues and now he's locked himself in the studio for a week because he's questioning whether he still wants to do it.
Okay.
That kind of
That's
vibe.
one side, yeah.
You know what I mean? Or it could just be, in a space that you don't feel playing music, in a space that you don't feel comfortable in. And eventually I think what happens is you start asking yourself questions of what success means to you.
100%.
Then it becomes easier to then decide what path you are going to follow. And it's good to say no.
It is good to say no. No is the creative director. But I always think about that in terms of like my involvement in grime and I guess the adjacent scenes and people around it. That I guess we didn't have a manifesto, but there did feel like there were things that we should all collectively say no to that have degraded over time. You know what I mean? Like things that feel very instinctive to me. I think, I feel like we shouldn't be emceeing in front of a fried chicken logo. It just feels like spiritually wrong to me, but maybe not so much to other people.
I think that what's happened now is a lot of things that people say yes to now. There's the same people who basically were really pointing fingers back in the day.
Okay.
So I did a remix for Alison Moyet. I'm a big kind of 80s music fan. Got a nice big bag from Sony to go and do a remix for Alison Moyet. And we got so slated for people for doing it. Oh, you've sold out. You've gone pop. Now everyone wants to do pop. Everyone wants to do it. Even doing things with food companies or water companies. There was a period of time where it was really kind of, you're allowing these outsiders to infiltrate the scene. Now everyone does it. Now, in fact, if you don't do it, you're almost seen as not credible.
Yes.
Because you don't have a billion other logos not associated with your scene slapped on your event.
Yeah.
So it's weird, swings and roundabouts.
Yeah, it's like become like this running gag of like if you this is like a unique situation actually where there's no kind of outside sponsor. So I'm very grateful for this situation.
Yeah.
I thought I'd mention that, but it'll be like you're launching an album, and then it's like presented by thing, drinks by this, this thing provided by that, and you think, okay, there must be some sort of like integrity or texture loss from all of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I work with
Yeah.
brands all the time, so I'm like very conscious of when to be very. This is me. I'm going to do it by myself, kind of thing. And then this is something I couldn't do without a brand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the reason why I guess bringing brands into dancing is because I feel like that affects the way people move in itself, right?
Yeah,
if you're in a
definitely.
branded space,
Yeah, definitely.
like it's like you have a branded dance, the socially acceptable, brand approved dance.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's kind of reminds me of almost like I'm building a sound system at the moment. And it's when I speak to the reggae guys, they're just like, anything that doesn't need to be there, we're taking out of the system.
Yes.
We're keeping it as raw and analog as possible. And then you speak to kind of like the new gen builders and they're like, they've got to have as much processing as possible. It's kind of like, you remember those times when people first got laptops and it was like, you could tell how serious you were about music by how long it took your laptop to boot up. It's like, oh, wow, it's like half an hour later. It's still booting up. I've got plugins, you know. And I like stripped down now.
Okay.
And I think that there's going to be a shift more towards stripped down.
Yeah.
And you know, pirate radios comes from stripped down.
Yes.
It's kind of strip away all of the bits of radio that we don't need, and let's just go with the rawness.
100%. Best part is no part.
Yeah.
Best process, no process sometimes.
There you go.
Okay. Sticking on the sound system. All right. Just give us a short insight into the build of a sound system in 2025 because you're doing it. What do we need to get going? Because I'm approaching Uncle Phase, so this is territory for person to be in the garden making boxes.
I've done like trainer collections. I've done classic cars. I've done all of that, and now we're at sound system. I've done records. And now, that was a very important moment. You know, when the mic cable falls out,
Yeah.
but you haven't practiced at home. You're on stage with 1,000 people, and then you're like, I don't know what to do. So the process of building a sound system is something that, you know, I think everyone should do because there's something very powerful about transporting your speakers from a space into a building and then creating the dance and then playing the music that you've collected through the sound system that you built. This kind of hits slightly differently.
Mm-hmm.
It's a kind of long, complicated process that involves speaking to a lot of old men who are maybe not necessarily the best at articulating ideas. Everyone has an opinion, and every person you speak to will do it a different way. Eventually, you will just learn that I just have to do it how I feel. You start not wanting to make any mistakes and not wanting to spend money that you don't have, and you do all of that, and that's good. That's a good learning process, and it's one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done.
Wow.
But it is expensive because what you don't think about is storage.
Yeah.
And also the fact that in a city like London, a lot of spaces will not let you bring an external sound system in because they've already been duped by the sound system rep into buying the Function One or whatever they've got in the club. But I think that we do need to have more of that where we are building parties around a sound so that when people go out, your party sounds different from my party because our sonic approach to it is different. And which is a weird thing that a lot of people don't think about, but I think there were certain places back in the day that you went to where the sound wasn't great, but there was something about all of the jigsaw puzzle parts coming together that just made it your special place.
And it's a team effort. You can't do that by yourself.
Exactly. And also this idea of when you build a sound system, you suddenly realise that you need friends.
Yeah.
And you need people, and you also kind of really learn who the music lovers are, because music lovers come early to hear what you're playing early. They will stay to the end for the experimental phase, and then they will help you pack the thing up as well. And that's really important. And I hear about people, there's a really amazing collective called Beauty and the Beat. I think they've been running their party for 25 years.
Jeez.
It's monthly, 300 people, £10 a ticket, always sells out. They never get mentioned by Mixmag. They're not on Resident Advisor, but they've got a really, really amazing community of people. And it's kind of, I go and I'm like, I hear at least 30 records that I didn't even know existed. And I feel excited by it. And I feel like I'm part of something by going to it. And that's a feeling that I haven't had in Clubland for quite a long time.
Yeah. Maybe that never existed in Clubland as well. It's like because of, I guess especially today, that you can go and just like plug in, right?
Yeah.
So there's like already a detachment of you from the space. Like you're not actually physically invested in the same way that you are, I guess, when people are running a sound system.
Yeah.
And I think I'm part of a generation of not quite. I guess I'm an overlap of the previous technology like vinyl and Serato and all these kind of things into just this.
Yeah.
And now I find it super inspiring when young people are going, you know what, I want to go like to do what you're doing. Like, like they're starting actually at sound and working their way up, because I kind of missed that initial phase. You know what I'm saying? Like now I think about it, I'm like, oh, I wish I actually started that way in the first place, or like learned. The DJ culture I came from was more pirate radio based and grime and stuff. It wasn't sound system based. There was nowhere to. People didn't want to host us in clubs, believe it or not, or even in spaces. So today, when I see people, I guess going to that point, like starting from being part of sound systems or building them or helping other people, like I've seen Floating Points one, and I'm going to Hackney Baths tomorrow. The Giant Steps.
Oh, wicked.
Sound system. All these different things.
Yeah.
And especially outside of the city, they become super important because there aren't like built infrastructure like clubs and stuff. So the actual sound system becomes super important because there's no venue to built-in venue to do stuff.
They're like a rallying call for people. I think, you know, especially when I look at like the reggae scene, the dub scene, it just, you know, it's huge. It's kind of, these people are doing these massive jams like regular, and you like it's so under the radar, but they've got a community around them. And I think that's kind of, you know, that for me is always my big thing, is kind of the music by itself is not enough.
Yep.
You have to have the community with it. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense. People just don't understand why it sounds the way it sounds. You know, you'll notice as a DJ, it's kind of, there are certain people, if they arrive first, I know it's going to be a long, drawn-out party.
Okay.
So if my male friends arrive in the jam first, it's going to take a long time to warm up, because they're not going to nod.
Yeah.
They're going to stand by the wall. They're going to be looking at the fire exits. You know, it's kind of all very closed. So you're going to need some people from Essex to come in, handbag down. Wow, I can't believe I'm in the club. Wow, like the party's getting started as soon as they walk in. And then each person brings their kind of next piece of energy into the space.
100%.
I think a lot of people just don't think about clubland in that way or music in that way anymore, because I think COVID put us in a position where people almost, music's like a given now.
Yeah. It's like you don't have to be in service to it. It's more like a service to you. Like, oh, you play the tune and then it like make me dance. Yeah. Rather than I'm a contributor to everyone else having a good time too. Right? Does that make sense? Yeah. That's why in COVID, I guess my remedy was like skating, the skate community and people roller that were roller skating. Okay. And the good thing about that culture and that community is like everyone just has to move. There's no static kind of vibe, and it just changes the mood of a thing, because everyone's just constantly moving. Yeah,
and also you got all these people who are on a learning journey together.
That's true.
And that's really.
I didn't think of that. Yeah. That I haven't found like. I think I mean that's a super unique situation.
Yeah. I mean that's what I felt. That's what was the thing that drew me to running, is this idea of being a beginner at something, and then suddenly discovering that it's something I'm actually good at that I didn't think I'd be good at. Okay. And then introducing it to other people who didn't think they'd be good at it, who then they were like, wow, if I'm good at this running thing, maybe I could take what I've learned from that into other areas of my life. And that was really, you know.
What's the overlap between the people that run with you and the people that dance with you?
There's a very fair overlap now. There never used to be. Okay. But we've had this second running boom, so now it's kind of, you see people running who would never run before. Yeah. I spent like, you know, I see JME going out to do like 5K. Yeah. You were there, innit? Yeah. I worked with Nike for like 9 years, and we were always like, yeah, we could try and get the grime MCs to start running, you know, Temper T's in the gym all the time, and trying to get him to go, and couldn't get it to fly. Okay. You know, now everyone's running, so there's a lot more cross-fertilization. I see people who I DJ to on a Saturday night, I see them on a Tuesday, and they're coming out to run. Okay. And that to me is brilliant, because actually the whole purpose of Run Them Crew and my journey into running was to kind of keep my creative and musical family alive for longer. Yes. Because I want to see what people are going to do in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s and beyond. You know?
Yeah, people, I said this at this this festival called International Music Seminar, IMS in Ibiza, is that the older generation of like electronic music, dance, house and techno, they always say about what the youth should be doing. I'm like, no, you lot, if you lot keep it, extending it, this is a good thing for the house and disco, techno, whatever community, rather than going, oh, young people aren't doing enough, young people are not putting up parties. It's actually, it's like, okay, everyone 40 plus staying in clubs for another 20 years instead of dropping off at 25. Like that is actually healthier for the ecosystem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know, I've witnessed like crazy behaviors in the scenes that I'm part of, just young clubs up and down the country. Yeah. And I think, okay, if there were more adults in the room, for the most part, behavior kind of chills out a bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I think what's happened is people, you know, this narrative has now come in where it's like once you reach a certain age, you are no longer welcome or shouldn't be in the space with the young people anymore, which is wild. That's wild to me. I'm like, the best parties that you ever will go to are weddings. Because when you go to the wedding, there's so many generations represented in that room. It's never like, I've never been to a wedding with a good sound system, but I've always had great parties. Yeah. You know, and I've always had great memories as well. And so I think you have to have intergenerational dances and spaces, and they need to be encouraged 100%. As well. And I don't understand. It's weird because, you know, it's not like jazz musicians suddenly get to like 40 and then like they retire. Yeah. They carry on as far as they can go. But there is this thing around DJing when it's like, you're in your 50s now, when are you going to stop? Yeah. Like, shouldn't you be doing something else now? Like, shouldn't you just be listening to your records on your expensive sound system at home? Like, why are you still going out? Mm-hmm. And I think that's because you know, there's this narrative that people have been told that they can't learn anything from people who are older than them. True. Or different from them. Mm-hmm. Or who think differently from them. Mm-hmm. So we've now become very like, I can just take my information from people who are my age. Mm-hmm. Or it's almost seen as like a weakness to be taking wisdom from someone else, which is why I'm really happy that your book came out, because I'm like, finally we've got someone who, when they walk in the room and start dropping knowledge, people are like, oh, he's kind of like my brother's age. You know? And I could kind of listen to that, whereas sometimes I go to spaces and it's kind of like, people are really like, and then they Google me, and then suddenly they're like, in the next session, they're like, oh yeah, we really need to talk to you. But the session one, they're just like, he's this old guy, why is he still wearing a baseball cap and trainers? Like, I don't understand. He's like older than my dad. Yeah. So, ageism is a bad thing. Yeah, 100%. I feel like I sit between generations. Like, people think I'm younger than I actually am. So maybe sometimes I don't think anyone knows how old you are.
I'm 38. So I was 16 when Boy in the Corner came out. Okay. And then, or I'm 20 years older than the youngest person in the club. If that's what I say to people. Like. Or if sometimes, I guess in the last year or so, I've been meeting people that are saying, "Oh, my dad used to listen to your Rinse shows." Yeah. I'm like, oh, I've hit that point of life where I'm meeting like 15, 16-year-olds that they're, they've heard the sets, not necessarily in real time, but because they're people listening to in a car at home or something. I'm like, oh man, that's super interesting. And there's going to be a point where the Butters baby, so the club night and label I started was called Butters, like the Butters children of that raving generation, I'll meet in person, right? So there's like I don't know, it's probably like 20-ish that I know of, or couples and relationships and stuff that have produced offspring that I'm entitled to 10% of all future revenue from.
I mean, it is quite wild when you end up DJing with the child of someone and you're like, man, I remember when you were born. I remember holding you for the first time, and now you're selling off the club. Wow. But I love it. It's cool because that's how it should be. Yeah,
there's that they're connected to the music. Yeah, like they're actually connected. I'm not sure what kind of time we're running. I can't see a clock.
5, 2, 3.
Should we do some questions? Or everyone want to chat? Yeah, everyone's just been chilling, patient.
Yeah. Do we need to talk more on Pirate Radio?
We can bounce between.
Okay, cool. All right.
Because radio is like that could be a completely separate track. Have we got a spare mic? Perfect. Banger. Anyone got any questions or thoughts that they want to share? No? Yeah, go for it. Yes, man.
So, Charlie Dog,
Yeah.
do you have your favourite pirate radio station?
Yes. My favourite pirate radio station was a station called JFM, which used to stand for Jazz Funk Music. I started listening to JFM on the 30th of October 1983. And I know specifically the date because I had a birthday party the day before, and my cousin from West London was so appalled at the music that we were playing at the party that she was like, I'm going to write down the frequency of this radio station and I want you to tune in tomorrow. So I know the I remember tuning in, and I can remember the first couple of records I heard as well, which were Running Away by Roy Ayers.
Okay, wow.
And Expansions by Lonnie Liston Smith.
Oh, bangers.
So for me, that was kind of like, expand your mind.
Yeah, for real.
And, run away. Are you either running away from your former self or running towards your new self? So that was my favourite station. But I'm a pirate radio, particularly 80s pirate radio freak. Like, I collect tapes, got very big, like probably like 2,000 cassette tapes.
Wow.
Actually, I've got a package of tapes for you.
Oh, please. Thank you.
Because I bought a tape collection from a reggae dude during COVID, but it came with a load of grime and garage tapes.
Sick.
And it's big, and my partner's like, they gotta go. But I want them to go to some place.
Okay.
Where
I'll happily
cool.
make that home.
Okay. All right. No, but I got you, man. I got you. I got you because you got so much. Like, but my thing about sets. I had a really thing that happened. I was like, did worldwide weekly, and then they got to that thing where Mixcloud started charging.
Yes.
For the amount of stream, and so all the shows just got deleted. And so I'm very much like, you need a physical copy of your show just in case the platform goes down.
100%.
Good question. Cool.
Yeah. Go for it.
You go first. Yeah. So just on that idea of like physical archives and stuff like that, because I know, Elijah, you've talked a lot about archives and digital not necessarily being an archive. Just because you've got an Instagram or a website and all of that doesn't necessarily make it an archive. But I guess for this generation who've just grown up digital only, how do you kind of instill that kind of, idea that, you've got to take things offline and kind of build a collection and build like a space where you can go to it? And because I feel like the relationship with media changes once you kind of take it offline. So how do you kind of instill that kind of, that idea?
I mean,
yeah, that's a good question. I think you need something to die. This is a good thing. Like when platforms go down, like what happened with Twitter or like MySpace, and the things are lost, then you understand the tangibility a bit more. And I think we've been on the platform, so like Instagram has been around for 15 years now, nearly, and all it takes is Zuckerberg to go, you know what, this is done, we're on to the next thing, and then a whole generation again of information will just die again, and you understand like the necessity of retaining things and like putting it in the books. Like that's why I did the book and the way I did it. I was like, you know what, let me just transport it in the way it was created, in the medium it was created for, because these textures kind of just get lost. So not every, but a lot of cultures have this shock where they're like, oh, that thing is gone now. Channel U, done. The original Grime Daily got deleted. Do you remember this? It got completely deleted. They had to start from scratch and made GRM Daily. All these things, like SBTV, there was a day when it kind of just stopped. And when you, I guess when you've experienced that a few times as a participant in something, you start being like, okay, what of this can you retain? What of this is it feels important today or may feel important in the future? And then what of this is like very like sensitive, so or maybe people don't feel like is important now, but I think it's going to be, because you don't know, because the things that say like SBTV at the time, it felt big but didn't feel necessarily important, like what DJ AG is doing. That's why I use the word important with him rather than like big or like resonating or getting followers. Who cares about that? All of these things are like not super tangible. So if if all that video is not archived, then it will just be like dust in the wind, another thing come and gone.
Yeah. I think I always say to particularly young people I mentor is kind of, on your 100th birthday, when there were 100 people in the room, what do you want them to be saying about you and what do you want them to be seeing? And so the reason why I encourage people to keep things is because sometimes, well, often you have to have the visual references and the actual stuff for people to really understand the greatness that you've produced.
Yes.
And that's why and I'm African anyway, so I'm West African, so we're natural hoarders. We ain't throwing anything away. But I think it's really important to kind of just keep, because also I think what happens is the more that you're doing something, the more successful you become, the more you start to travel, the more that things that you dreamt about and wished for start to happen, and you don't appreciate them and you don't celebrate them.
Mm-hmm.
So actually you kind of have to train yourself and your mind to be like, if I don't archive this stuff, no one else will do it on my behalf. So I just did a book with my daughter, and she's like 20, photographer, and she went through my archive and made a book of it. And it was really interesting, basically kind of showing her, this is what travel cards used to look like. This is my ticket stub from going to see Public Enemy. This is, the receipt for my turntables.
Wow.
And then suddenly, this person who she's only ever seen as daddy, suddenly she understands, oh, you really were a teenager. You really did go to clubs where you had to pay and you weren't playing, and I think she slowly started to understand my world a bit more because I could show her actual physical stuff.
Yeah.
And it's important because I feel like there are all these really amazing subcultures that have come since 2000 that people don't realize how amazing they are because they don't have enough people around them or platforms saying, that's amazing that you're doing that. Mm-hmm. And it's sometimes when you don't have cheerleaders around you, you have to become your own cheerleader.
100%.
I'm not, I know the Tate. No, it's like Shaka just died.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Shaka. Like, Josh Shaka's died. Sound system, credible record collection. I'm like, Tate, Britain, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's get the system, the records. Let's make something of it. But I haven't done that. So it's left to the estate to take care of it. And I've seen, as a record collector, I've seen so many people, collections, amazing collections, just kind of get distributed to the wind and chopped up and cut up because the people at the other end don't understand.
Yeah. Or there's not that capability to even store things. Like,
yeah,
you know
it's
what I mean?
kind of it's deemed not important. It's like if you come to my mum's record collection, you're going to find some James Brown, you're going to find a load of Motown records, but you're also going to find country and western records. Mm-hmm. When we go to the record dealers be like, mate, got this amazing collection, got some James Brown, got some Temptations, but got all these country and western records, don't understand what they're there for because they don't understand. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
But the country and western records are the glue in between the other records. And so that's the reason why it's important to have your archive, because my archive is going to be different from your archive, it's going to be different from your archive. And if we keep leaving, the official people to decide what is important from our culture, mm-hmm. well, that's how you end up with the situation that we're in now.
100%.
Where a load of things that are really important just get swept to the side.
Yeah.
When I used to go to Carnival to go and see Norman J, Good Time Sound System, one of the things that I loved was that his mum and dad would be, there's thousands of people there, but in the corner, guaranteed the mum and dad would be sitting there in their deck chairs, just kind of, just like, and that for me was like, one of the most important things was going there and getting the nod from the dad, like, oh man, the elder has seen me, wow. But for a lot of other people, it's kind of, that's irrelevant.
Mm.
But it's like when people talk about grime, it's like, they don't talk about the small little bits, the moments of, like Kano versus Wiley at Jammer's House. One of the best theatre performances you will ever see in your life. Like, I remember seeing that and just being like, that's so theatrical, that needs to be preserved as a thing. People need to go and study, the moments
true.
of that, because there were so many amazing things happening, not only in the people who were kind of performing, but also the reactions of people around them and the environment and the way. I'm like, oh man, this is incredible.
100%.
And I sometimes get to the point where I'm like, I don't want to wait 10 years for the world to catch up to the beauty of the moment.
100%.
Because by that point, it's lost. Anyway, don't let me start.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I think thinking about the parallels between running and music as community spaces and things, and spaces where people connect. And I know when you were talking about sound systems and how people are moving towards things being more stripped down,
Yeah.
you also spoke about how running's becoming more cross-fertilized, and you have people from different communities coming to running.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'd say as someone who runs a lot
Yeah.
and also likes music a lot, I think running is also becoming that kind of branded space where
yeah, of
everything
course,
is like, you know.
Yeah. Again,
Like
don't let me get
the
started.
cap,
on
I'm
that.
not. It's not even a question about that.
Yeah.
It's just more so thinking about. I think for my own sanity, I've tried to
Yeah.
like try and keep running as something I do, not something who I am.
Yeah.
How does the same work when it comes to music? If you think there's such a thing, and bear in mind, you did say that you think people are moving towards stripping things down.
I mean, I definitely went through a period of time where I couldn't listen to music without super analysing it down to its very last essence. And that was, for me, was like not a good space to be in. I think when I think about running and how it's been co-opted, and I will say it's been, it has been co-opted by brands. You know, for me, it's a shame because I think the people who need it most are still not getting to access it. And they're still waking up thinking like, actually, you know what? That's not for me, when it really, really is. But again, I've seen that happen with so many different scenes over the years. But again, I think when those things happen, it's kind of people like yourself who are just kind of, making conscious decisions to be like, everyone else is doing it this way, but it means this to me, so I'm going to keep it like this. That's really important. When we apply it to music, as I always say to people, is kind of don't leave your day job to go and become a musician, because that's when you start making rubbish
This is
music.
an unpopular take, but it's true. It's 100% true.
Don't leave your day job, because it suddenly everything starts taking so much longer because you got more time and you're not doing the commute that you don't like in the morning, so the ideas are not coming in.
Yeah, and you have a less contribution to society overall, right?
Yeah.
Like there's this, like, I think about this all the time where like not the most popular or anything like that, it's like the DJ or the person that's in front might just be like a nurse, someone that's like contributing to society. So they kind of got they're understanding the social fabric much more than people that are just like behind the velvet rope.
Yeah.
They're in it with people at the same time. It's the same thing as putting up the boxes or running with the crew, you know what I'm saying? They can't, if the DJ or the artist, especially like performing artists and stuff, I'm like, if you velvet roped yourself off so far, that how do you even make stuff that is connective, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like when you spend a lot of time in America. You go spend a lot of time in New York. There's certain records that you're going to hear on MTV or the radio here where you're like, I can't understand why this record is so big. And then you go to New York and listen to those records in the environment where you are sitting around and they're like, the strippers are coming down the pole. There's like 10, there's 100 rappers in there with their crew. The Yankees football team or, baseball team are here. And suddenly you're that Justin Bieber record that you hate in London or don't understand. Suddenly you're like, oh yeah, definitely, yeah. And then you're like, yo, get me bottle service, bring the champagne. And then you wonder why when you get back, you try to make the music, it doesn't work because you kind of become so successful that you're now in the VIP penthouse by yourself or with other people who are all just like you. And then that's when you get usurped by the youngster who comes in and is like, I haven't got money to get into the penthouse, but I'm making my new penthouse on the ground floor. And it sounds infinitely better than what's being played in your room. And then that's when you start feeling a bit old.
Yeah.
And so it's important to keep going back down in the lift and hanging out. Because I go to places and people are like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Or they'd be like, I can guess this. They'd be like, no, I'm going to pay. Or be like, no, I'm going to send you my record. No, it's fine. I'll go to the shop and get it because I want to have the experience.
And memory as well.
Memory.
Yeah.
I don't, because when you send it to me, it's just yet another of a file that has been sent to me by the other 50 people that sent me that week. It doesn't sit in the body. We want to create these memories so that we've got something to talk about when we get older.
100%. Quickly on running and music and wellness overlap. Do you notice the difference in, I guess, the dance space being healthier than before? Like, because
people are drinking less, they're taking less drugs. A lot of people have swapped one addiction for running. So I see a lot of people where I was like, the way you're going into this running, you're the same way that you used to take Coke. That's the same approach that you got to running now, you know. And although you are running a lot, maybe it's not as healthy for you as you are portraying on your Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah. And remember, I've been in there. Like, I set up the first run crew in Europe, 2007. Bruh. So I've been there from the very beginning. And I do definitely see parallels, because running a marathon is a bit like making a mixtape. You can't. It's not every mile is a banger. That's how you end up on BBC crawling across the finish line with your friends disowning you. You don't want that to happen. Wow. So it is like a journey. But yeah, definitely I think people are less drugs, drinking less. And, you know, I think people are maybe not going as hard in the club as they used to. It's, you know, not so much of the like, I've been up for 48 hours. I'm really cool. And now you're a bit like, bro, you better get on that running track in the morning. You know what I mean? It's kind of, so it is changing. And I get asked to DJ a lot more at sober raves or wellness events. And they're really cool. You know, and there's something really interesting about DJing at an event where everyone's just run a marathon. There's like 1,000 people in the room and everyone's just running, you know, a marathon. That sense of euphoria and accomplishment and togetherness is unmatched.
100%.
You know, so
I've never experienced that, but yeah, that sounds...
Well, you know, I've got a London Marathon place for you for next year, so if you want to run it, you know, I think you should, because I think you've inspired a lot of people with the book, and I know that you move and have a movement practice in some way, because I see the body, I'm like, he's doing something, and I also think that your approach to it will be different, and the way that you talk about it, articulate your experiences, and write about it will be different. And we need different types of voices, as you're saying, because we don't just need gym bros being like, you smashed out 50 marathons in 5 weeks. Like, we're not interested in that anymore. That's not inspiring the people that I need to get moving. Okay. And again, as I always say, the reason why I'm encouraging people to get moving is because I want to see what you're going to be doing in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. Okay. I don't care that you're selling a load of records in your 20s. That doesn't mean anything to me. I want to see how you're going to continue to shape culture when you've got grey hairs. I shaved all mine out of my beard this morning. Other people don't listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah, the book's aged me. It's brought my age forward a bit. Like,
but it's good, man. You've got a tangible thing. No one can take that away from you. It's like 100%. You've got a book for the rest of your life.
Yeah, what you said as well about, I guess, preserving things. You know, like, the good thing about putting out a book or a record or something is that it connects you to what came before too. So people are very understanding of like, okay, Shakespeare wrote a book and you wrote a book. Okay, cool. Like that's always going to be like something that connects you to the tradition. Like I'm in the British Library. I'm saying it's just there, can't be taken away from you. Whereas you said about 100 years old, some like 38% of life done. No one's going to say, oh, the post that got 48 likes and 12 comments, you know, on website of the time.
Exactly.
You know?
And also, I think when you put things out as physical things, you never know where they're going to end up. I mean, I'm sure you've seen your records in places where you never expected them to turn up. And that's always really amazing when someone connects with a piece of art that you've made in a place that's totally moved from where you
100%.
Where you made it.
I think like everything I've done is like that. One more question? Okay, go for it.
Do you think that like people's strict routine now and sort of the mass influence of running is affecting the dance floors? Like you said, seeing Norman Jay's parents at Carnival and all that, you don't really get that real feeling of what you used to get on the dance floor. Do you think that we'll ever see that real feeling again?
Yeah.
And do you think, how do you go about
So
grabbing it?
the real feeling, so I just spent like 2.5 weeks in New York and purposely did some kind of high level, kind of above the radar stuff, and some undergroundy stuff. And what I found is that there is a lot of real interesting stuff happening on an underground level that people don't know about, isn't being documented, but is really exciting to be part of, where you go and people are phonetically dancing till 7 o'clock in the morning, right? I just think that what's happened now is the thing that was underground has now become this mainstream thing. And so DJing in Fabric on a Saturday night is maybe the equivalent of playing at the Hippodrome or Cinderella Rockefellers or the Lacy Ladies back in the day. Whereas actually if you want to go underground, you've got to go to your house on a Friday night, invite only, FIFA tournament kind of vibes. Yeah. So I think it's going to come back. Whenever music press platforms start ringing the doom and gloom bell, I just ignore it, because from doom and gloom comes light and rainbows. And there's always people who kind of are just under the radar doing their thing, who don't want to be, super successful or talked about or heralded or recognized in the street. They're just doing their thing. If I look at someone like Shaka, really only in the last, let's say 5-10 years, could you go to someone and be like, oh yeah, there's this guy, Jazz Shaka, plays by himself in his own sound system, and people would kind of be like, yeah, I kind of know what you mean. Yeah. Or, they've been to Red Bull Culture Clash, so they know what a sound clash is. Yeah. But this guy's was DJing from the 70s. Multiple jams, weekly, up and down the country. So I think, to your point, what I think you're going to get is this moment where people are just like, yo, things are really messed up at the moment, and actually, I'm going to be brave enough to ignore what everyone else is doing, and I'm going to strike my own path.
Yeah, I think about this all the time. Where you see, like the camera, like if you go out and it's documented, then it's like nearly like nearly like that doesn't count. I feel like people are going to discuss events. Sorry, this is a bit hypocritical here, but people are going to discuss like going out as the thing as going offline. Does that make sense? Like, so if you go out and it's more of a documented experience and it's got the drone and thing flying around and the DJ's filming and they're getting content and it's the headline show, that is not going to count as going out. Going out is the thing where you're like, okay, I didn't even look at my phone. I don't have a picture from it. I just have a memory and experience, and that's it. And it's not going to end up in the photo dump. That's it. So there's this kind of fabric of things that are happening. We all know they're happening, like, but they're not, like supremely documented. I'm pro like documentation. I'm pro the archiving all these things. But I feel like there's this line of where, time and place of when to do that and when to like shut off the camera. So like when I've organized nights and stuff, I'll be like, okay, at 1 a.m. for example, post 1 a.m. I don't think there's any reason to film anything or take a picture of anything. There's like nothing happening in a club that needs to be seen in the light of day post 1 a.m. And like I think this is like for us to protect our patrons, our audience, our community, and also like to make sure people can feel like a level of freedom. Like we're not going to go and embarrass people. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like this just generally in society, there's going to be like this. Well, that's what I'm hoping for. A very intangible social norm of putting the thing away. Yeah, definitely. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're gonna get to the point where you're gonna pull your phone out on the dance floor. People are gonna look at you like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? I can feel it all. Already in certain places where I play, like, they read you the right acts before you go in, or they're covering up your phone as you go in. And it's just, the more that people go and experience these events where they're not under surveillance, and the better time they have, and the more they talk about it to other people, the more that will then become, the norm. It's kind of, it's almost a bit like, I'm old enough to remember the time when going to a festival was seen as like, why would you go to a festival? You're from South London. What are you doing there? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, do you even have a sleeping bag? Do you know what a tent is? Like, yeah. And now everyone goes to festivals. Yeah. And they all want to go to the biggest festival possible. And actually, I think now people are going to be like, I want to go to the smallest one. They want to go to the one that's that you didn't know about, because there is a kudos still about I went to something that you don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we're all craving that. And I often find myself in situations, my agent's always like, you know, you got to film more. I'm like, I don't need to, just, it's all in here.
Yeah.
It's kind of,
and you even don't necessarily want the result of what happens when you film more too. Like I say this to people all the time. There's like levers you can pull to be in front of more people, but then the more people that you get in front of, it causes these other social problems that I don't want. So there's things, there's like on social media and things that I could do. Like it's not like I don't have the creative or technical ability, but it will just annoy me. Like it would like, okay, I'll be in spaces I don't want to be in, or the magnetism of the kinds of people that ask me questions would just be like, I wouldn't be able to be my best self for those people. Yeah. Whereas I feel like the people that tend to magnetize to my work or things I put out, I can jam with.
Yeah. I mean, I think I said to myself, I had to have a very honest conversation with myself on the return to DJing at one point, because I basically had gone to the point where I'm like, I had to ask myself, what type of DJ do you really want to be? What type of spaces do you really want to play? Where do you play best? My ego wants me to do 10 festivals during the summertime, just always be away. But actually my soul always happens is like, when I find myself in that environment, be like, play 4 house records, and I'm looking in the African bag, you know, I'm going to flow that African left ball record in. Promoters looking like, don't play that, don't play that, don't play that. And then suddenly you realise that actually the bigger the space is, you can't really play the music that you really want to play. It doesn't connect with people the same way. So eventually what happens, you've got to play all the bangers. And you just get bored. So I have to be honest with myself, like, actually, that's not where you thrive. So you can leave that to people who enjoy doing that, you know? And that's okay. That doesn't mean that you're not good at what you do. It just means that you've selected your, you know, your lane. I like being home before the sun comes up. My ego wants me to be out to 7 a.m. Yeah, put me on at 5 a.m. No, bruv, don't put me on at 5, because it takes me a week to recover. So actually being honest with yourself about what you're really aspiring to, and what success looks like, and what a good night out looks and a good time looks like for you, suddenly you just make better decisions, which means you can do it for longer and have bigger impact.
100%. Like, what do you want to spend most of your time doing? Like I say this to people that want to be involved in music. It's like, okay, do you actually want to spend all of the time in the shed making beats, just you and the computer? Most people are not like that. You have to be a certain personality type. Or if you want to play 100 gigs a year in 60 different cities, again, you have to be wired a very special way to do that for an extended amount of time. It is madness inducing, and that's why the people go crazy, because it's against nature. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like 100 years ago, like hardly anyone had flown. Now you're in the, you know, upper 1% of people doing, I don't know, 100 flights in a year. That we don't even know what the impact of that is on mind and body yet. Sorry, it's gone way further than the dance floor.
It's called loneliness is what happens.
And loneliness too.
But I think conversations like that are important, because I think a lot of people just kind of, with music, they've got this idea that music shouldn't be political, and there are certain subjects that can't be involved in music. It's just about the music. And I'm just like, well, music has always been political for me, because I've had so many barriers. You can't come into this place because of the colour of your skin. You can't go to this event because of your class. You can't do this because culturally we don't do that. So it's always been political. And then you've seen people around you, you know, come together and bring change
100%.
To the landscape. So it's always been political. And I think music is a better place when people realise that it's not divorced from life. It's not escapism, which I think a lot of people think kind of music's the way you escape. No, that music's the way you connect more with life. When you can start soundtracking your actual life with the music, when you're 13 in your bedroom in, you know, South London, and your mum's telling you you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor, and you hear expansions on the pirate radio that you shouldn't be listening to, and you realise you are going to expand your mind, it's powerful. So we need more of that, and we need more people who are willing to have the conversations, you know, in this way, on that deeper level. You know, the conversations, the studio conversations, need to become more public.
The song,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
because
100%.
you know, as you know, the kind of like the creation of the music is sometimes more exciting than the actual completion of the music.
100%.
You know what I mean?
All right. Any other questions before we go? We've got like a couple minutes left.
I think everyone's just like, we've just talked them out. They're like, wow, the other guys just play music and just chat. Oh, these guys are getting a bit too deep. They're getting a bit too deep.
I've been going to things where they've, and I've been invited to things where people are having a reasoning at the start of a dance.
Yeah.
Like talking about a particular issue or something like that, and then playing music and dancing afterwards. And I found out that's kind of, it's different.
Yeah.
It's like a different feeling. And I'm like, okay, that's a newer format that I haven't experienced
I've been doing
as
like
much.
DJ set lectures.
And lecture at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've done. Yeah, I guess I've been invited places and done that too. I guess I did that in Hong Kong and a few other places.
Yeah. Again, it's kind of, there's many different ways that musical or any idea can be presented.
Yeah.
And we don't have to just keep following the blueprint that is often set by people who are not as musical.
Yep.
Or don't love it as much as us, but they're very good at numbers and marketing and so on and so forth. And so because that becomes popular, and I think Instagram's kind of, you know, magnified that. Now it's kind of like, oh, that's a trend. Okay, let's all do that. And I'm always like, if everyone's doing that, let's go and do this.
100%.
Having a 1-year-old after, you know, an 18-year break of children suddenly teaches you a lot about life, because you'll go to Mothercare and buy the like top present, bring it home, and they play with the box. And you'd be like, but this does this and this, but you're more interested in just opening and closing the box. That's really exciting to you. After a while, you start to kind of observe, and you're like, maybe you've got something that we don't know.
Yeah.
Big up Zen.
Big up Zen. All right, man. Much love, man. Thank
Much
you.
love.
Bro. Thank you. Bro.
I will give you more flowers because you are amazing.
You too, bro.
But we need you.
All right, much love, bro.
Nice
Thank
you.
You've done it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Elijah and Charlie, for such an in-depth and insightful conversation, and also for kicking off the Festival Encounters as well. Such a joy to hear you both speak. Thank you everyone for coming along today as well. Do pick up a programme before you leave today. We have about 40 events happening in this festival. Tomorrow, back here at Brixton Radio, we have Liam Bailey and Rebel Clash talking to Shawnee B, and Mad Professor, and Chris from Pecking's Record Store in Notting Hill, West London. We also have an exhibition going on at Van Gogh House, which is about 2 minutes down the road. So if you're in the studio now and not tuning in online, then you can nip down to check out an exhibition by Dinu Lee, which is really an exploration of sound system culture and the legacy of Chinese-run recording studios in Jamaica that so many reggae stars have passed through, and there are a lot of really beautiful sculptures playing amazing dub tracks. So there's a lot going on. I hope that you come back and enjoy some other events in the festival. And again, just a massive big thanks to you two, and also to Brixton Radio for hosting us.
Where's the Netflix show?